Okay. That was the ground. So they wanted to seize his assets, sell his assets, and then use it and pay back Union Bank. Fortunately, for both parties, in 2018-19, Governor Peter Obi was made the vice presidential candidate of Atiku. That placed Governor Peter Obi a little above his normal ordinary. So what happened? AMCOM people, the same AMCOM, the managing director and some executives, visited Peter Obi in his Lagos residence and told him that he has been making a case for Reverend Father Mbaka, that they would want him to now take it upon himself, that they've agreed to assist Father Mbaka by making sure that he spread his loan and pays it at his own time, giving a formula. Huh? So it was, when Peter Obi had it, he was delighted. And he called me and called Val Obinyem, his media person, and said, we want to take a visit to Enugu, Eminem Adoration Ground. The driver was Chede from Abatete. And we went to see Mbaka.
And you were in that vehicle?
I said, the driver was Chede. I and Peter was sitting in front. I was sitting in back with Val Obinyem.
I know.
And we went to Adoration Ground on an ordinary day. Okay. And we went there. And Peter went in and relayed the message of goodness that APCON has agreed to let him go, spend his time, spread your debts and pay it at your own time. And the jubilant Father Mbaka rushed out, shouting and singing that the Lord has done it again. As we were about entering the motor to go, beggars in the Adoration Ground all rushed round Peter. Then they knew it was Okute that was there. They all rushed, circled our vehicle. And Mbaka left where he was and ran to the vehicle and told them, that was his language. And he said, Your Excellency, don't bother about these people. What you do for me is come back here 2 weeks from today. I'm going to have a bazaar so that I can tell the world what you have done for me. That was Mbaka. Peter was trying to give an excuse. I'm not sure I will come. He said, please do it for me. Come back here and I will tell the world what you have done for me today. And I was one of those who, from the back, told my junior brother, His Excellency Peter Obi. I told him, I said, Your Excellency, what is wrong? Squeeze your time. Let's come here. And we left. 2 weeks later, Peter Obi came from the airport. I came from Oka or Anambra here with the driver and Val. We waited at the airport gate until he landed, and we went to the Adoration Ground. On getting to the Adoration Ground, we had songs already prepared by the choir. The people were already singing in the church, and that was the bazaar day. That was the bazaar day now. The church was already it's supposed to have started by 10. We came there about 15 minutes to 10. And already there was music on the air. And I listened to the music. The music was composed with Peter Obi's name. They were singing hilariously in honor of Peter Obi. They had composed a song. And we were happy. We went and sat down. And when we waited for about 30 minutes after 10, as 10:30, going to 11, 10 minutes to 11, Peter said, no, something is wrong. That he's going back to Lagos. That we need to go and find out from Father if this bus is not starting on time, so that he can take permission and go. Behold, we went there. When we got to Mbaka's office, we were told he was with a governor. And when we looked in, it was Governor Umahi. Dave Umahi, that was there. He was already dressed in Ashebi that was made with Father Mbaka's head. That was Dave Umahi. Dressed in Ashebi? Yes. Made with Mbaka's head. Okay. They were inside. He was there with about 2-3 persons, all dressed in the same uniform. It was when he came out that we now saw 2 buses that were carrying people from the state, Abakaliki, all in the same ashebi that he had. Okay. The same ashebi that Mbaka used to celebrate his mass. They had it. Okay? So we greeted Umahi with all pleasantries and we went for the service. When we got to the service area, the mass started. And when the mass started, the Reverend Father Mbaka started his homily, came down from the altar, just in front of where we were staying. The wife of Omahi, Cecilia Zilo, the deputy governor of Enugu State, P2B, myself, and then, no, after P2B, it was Hope Usadima, and then myself. Hope Usadima was also there. He was also there. But he wasn't a governor there? No. He was in the service. So the Reverend Father started preaching. After preaching, at a point in time, he started showering praises on Omahi as the David of our time. He was contesting for the governor, so there was no problem. So he glorified the wife, talked about the wife, then talked about Enugu State Governor, Ugwani, who was not there, but represented by my very close friend, Cecilia Zilo, the deputy. After that, he now turned over to Hope Uzodimma and said, he is the hope the people have been looking for, as Imo people, that he is the hope, and talked about hope. He didn't talk about us. He didn't talk about P2B. So my own presumption then was that he was reserving P2B for the actual bombshell. Okay? Having greeted all these people, he now came back to the same service and took on Atiku and said that Atiku, that was the language. So, you know, and we were all eyes. After talking about Atiku, he said that Atiku and Obi will go nowhere. The same Obi that he invited. He said Atiku and Obi will go nowhere. I started talking. At a time, I was watching Peter to see his temperament. He was calm and cool. But myself, who was accompanying him, I became one of the 3 apostles that were with Jesus when he was being, when he was gotten at the destiny. I lost my faith. I felt indignified. I felt I don't want to be associated with P2B anymore because the abuses was so heavy, and the crowd was all in eyes. Even the choir that composed songs for P2B were all surprised. And that was what happened. They talked, and thereafter he entered his speech and went up and continued his march. I remembered Cecilia Ezilo, deputy governor of Enugu State, shedding tears. He was tapping Peter, tapping him all the time. Your Excellency. He was tapping Peter. And then remember at that point he was a member of PDP then. Yes. And then even Dave Umai, PDP then. Of course. And then even P2B, PDP then. Of course. And Atiku, PDP. Of course. It's okay. So he was tapping Peter. Myself, I temporarily excused myself to ease myself. You went to go and urinate? Yes. And it was a very... and I disappeared into the crowd. You disappeared. You left. Yes. The person you accompanied to. I'm being... So you became Peter of the Apostle. I left him and went into the crowd. And one person there identified me like Peter was identified. Oh. I said, this man, you are with Peter. I didn't answer him. I turned and went the other way. Oh. That was how it got. So you can imagine how I felt that day. I was like somebody in hell. And then I never reappeared until the mass ended. I rushed over to Peter when the bazaar now actually was about to start. That was the preaching, the sermon. Yes. Now after the mass, yes, it was the bazaar, actual bazaar. The actual bazaar. And then he was calling people up to come and donate. First of all, he called a group of young men who brought to him the latest brand of Prado Jeep, valued then at 18 million. They announced the price they bought the car as a gift to Mbaka. 18 million. That was the first gift that was given. then Omahi was called upon. He donated thousands of bags of rice, which he said he had with him, and also other financial destiny.
Did he call any amount?
You mean Omahi?
Yes.
Yes, I can't remember now.
But he called an amount.
He called an amount, and at the same time gave thousands of bags of rice, rice.
Okay.
Okay, and then he started calling people, and at the time he now called Cecilia Ezilo. It was when Cecilia that was moving on, and Cecilia said, "Your Excellency, you must go with us. You are our leader." He called P2B. I was dragging P2B's hand that he should not go because he knew what was on already. And Peter said no, he will go. And he went on with him. The rest is history. You saw it yourself. All the embarrassments. He came there and started talking and gave all the embarrassment. And so that is exactly what happened. It was a repay of a good deed by Peter by intervening in Ampcon to restrain them from making nonsense of Father Mbaka. That Father Mbaka paid. And it was, we were there. And one of his boys, his professors, came to me and Val, and told me that they are not giving Father Neme.
But then have you come back from the urination you went to do that time? Because
yes, I said immediately after the service.
Okay, you came back
I came back for the urination. I didn't worship again, because how can I be worshiping? What type of worship am I worshiping? Everything there, as far as I'm concerned, was no more leading me to heaven. It was leading me elsewhere. So the best bet is to refrain and know that on that day, I have to confess that I didn't go to church.
You didn't go to church, but then after your urination, you stayed where you urinated.
Yes, I came back after the service.
Okay.
And then only to think we are going. My man, let's go.
Let's go.
I said no. He will remain here. And he told me something I learned that day. He said, if I leave this man in annoyance and go, he will say more things about me that I will not be there to hear from him. So let me be here so that he can say everything he wants to say about me. I don't know what has happened. So it was one of these people that came and told us that Omahi and Chris Oba and Ike Kwelemadu had visited him throughout the week that they were there in the adoration ground, trying to tell him that he must be against Peter's nomination as vice presidential candidate.
Omahi,
Chris Oba, and Ike Kwelemadu.
Remember, they were the one that shouted they were not consulted. I'm just saying. No, I'm saying this. I don't know, because I'm trying to put some things, because we covered it here.
Yes.
The moment Peter was appointed or nominated by Atiku as the running mate, Omaya thought that how can Atiku nominate P2B? Why would it be P2B that they were not consulted? And possibly, who knows, Umahi may be lining himself up for the same nomination. But that is by the way. Continue with the story.
So we now knew that Mbaka didn't act on his own. He was induced by these people. They must have given him a wrong impression. And rather than tell the man who did you good not to come again, he brought him there to make sure he played to the gallery.
What impression could they have given him by telling him that Peter just joined PDP and all that?
That is for you. They don't know what they told him, but he changed automatically. Started castigating Atiku and Peter, and then finally went to Hope to them and told him he must be governor, blah, 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 all those rubbish. He finished them. And then when we were going, we saw Ganduji.
But even before then,
yes.
Before you continue, there was a time he called Peter up at the podium and asked him, that
was when, as I said, everything is now history. Because when Ezilo came, he told him that the governor had given him a message earlier, and he acknowledged that. It was now for him he gave Peter a microphone. And Peter said what he said. Father, tell me what we will do together.
Any project.
Let me take I'll be part of it.
Yes. That Bazaar has a formula that if you come for Bazaar, you bring a money for cola. That and then the Peter still insisted, let me take a project.
Yes.
But if you were Peter at that time, let's assume you were Peter, what could you have done when he was telling you, or if the priest continued to tell you, you must break cola, that is a tradition? What could you have done?
Well, I am not Peter, because Peter has his own thinking. If it is me, I will announce 20 million there, and I will not give them one kobo.
yo, you will announce 20 million and I will not give one. I say, Kola.
Yes. I will announce 20 million and they will clap. They will clap and be joyful.
And then he will start praising you again.
I will go away.
He may come back and say,
you don't need to, as a priest, you don't need to force me into what I want to do. Okay?
As a bazaar tradition.
Yes, as a parallel tradition. And we're not there for bazaar. We were there on his invitation to thank God on Peter's head for making it possible for him to come out of his trouble.
And also to invite him for the bazaar sales.
So listen. That issue of bazaar sale is a different book. He knows Peter.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about what Peter gave him as an individual. I am a commissioner, and I know that he was given something before, while Peter was governor, when Peter was servicing all the churches, all the hospitals. He extended largesse of Anambra State to him in Enugu.
Oh, okay.
And gave him what he couldn't have given himself. I don't want to start shouting it on the radio. He was a beneficiary of Peter's government. So for him to descend down to begin to talk, okay, these things have happened, and it has been settled. What again made him to resurrect this matter last week?
Look at what he said.
Yes.
He said, and I quote,
Yes.
that he was on his own. He has forgotten everything that happened. That P2B supporters started using a video where he was carrying a shout and apologizing to him for campaign without placing it on the context it was actually made, saying even everybody is afraid of Peter, afraid of Peter, everybody is actually lying down for Peter. Even Mbaka confessed and apologized, using it for campaign stuff. He was on his own, but he has to come out to refute that. And he went further to say the apology he made was because his bishop actually asked him to render such apology. And then he went further to even add, it was not on his own volition. It was something that the bishop said he must do, and then as a Catholic priest, he has to say, yes, my Lord. And that was exactly what he did. He was expecting Peter to be, as a Catholic, who have seen such an apology, to also acknowledge the apology and say also on his own that I'm also sorry. It happened over time. It never happened, only for them to start using it for their campaign. That is what he said that made him to come out again.
Well, what he said doesn't add up. I'm expecting you to say that Peter Obi did this to him. He said Peter Obi did this to him.
No, he didn't say that.
You are now saying that the social media came up with all those who have offended Peter and apologized to Peter, of which is one. Okay, and he's annoyed that he
started using it for campaign.
They are just recalling history. History is campaign. If it is what you mean now, that is. We now see Peter is recalling how Abubakar went and borrowed for 8 billion from the world market, or 8 million to build Kainji Dam and so on. That is publicity. I don't know. History is history. Whatever we sow, we will reap. So we are told. The Anglican hymn, Eziolo.
But let me ask you.
Yes.
Over the time this issue happened, it was in 2019 it happened, if I can recall. And this is 2022.
Yes.
That is, if you ask me, about 3 years ago.
Yes.
And then I was told.
Is it about how many?
3 years.
How can?
2019, 2020, 2020,
okay.
About 3 years ago.
Okay.
That is how it happened. And I understand that P2B's younger brother is a reverend father.
Yeah.
And I was told, I don't know how true, that he's a rector of Tanzania University. Tanzania Seminary.
Yes.
Major Seminary. That's the younger brother.
Yes.
And P2B also has a sister, biological sister, who is also a reverend sister.
Good.
So what it means that P2B is a Catholic in a Chelsea's,
yes.
in every round, in every corner. One would also wonder, all this why? Because there was this relationship breakup between Peter and Father Mbaka, which you have attested to, that Peter helped him when it comes to AMCON. The debt his factories were owing Union Bank, which you mentioned.
Yes.
And then what happened at Adoration and the apology and all that.
Yes.
Why didn't you advise P2B as your bosom friend to see how to get to Father Mbaka so that their relationship can also improve again?
I don't understand
relationship.
You see, the very day Father Mbaka made that statement and castigated Peter, okay, and thereafter we met met Ganduje at the airport. Ganduje. We were with him at the airport, coming from Abuja.
Okay, from Abuja.
From Kano, Abuja, with a charter flight to go to the same adoration ground to meet Mbaka. And all he said about Buhari. Peter issued a statement the following day and said, whatever Mbaka did as a priest of God, that he has taken no pains on it. He has forgiven him. So Peter was the first person to ignore and forgive him. Okay. We didn't tell these stories when it happened. We didn't go to recall what did we go to. We kept it to ourselves. Unlike Peter said, keep on praying for the father. Okay? And we kept on praying for the father. And I can also tell you that I was in the car when he called his younger brother Fabian. Okay?
Peter called his younger brother.
I was in that car from Emene to airport.
You will say Father Fabian.
Yes. And he called Father Fabian, his younger brother, who is now a rector of the university of there, and said, this is what I saw today. And the father said, forgive him.
That is his younger brother, who is a priest.
Yes.
Reverend Father Fabian.
Yes. He advised Peter and said,
forgive him.
Forgive him. Don't bother about it.
Don't bother about it.
Go about it. And from that, because I was in there.
He was in the car where that call was made.
Yes. And even there, he had to draft a text message. He drafted a text message on his phone, gave it to Val, he read. After reading, they gave it to me to read. Yes.
So what was the text message?
This contained the same thing. Father, what you did today wasn't what we agreed. I came there on your invitation, but you chose to do otherwise. But as God will have it, I have no problem with you, and may God bless you.
Text message.
Yes, text message. We proofread it very well, and he sent it to Father Mbaka.
Okay.
And I'm sure Father Mbaka got it that day. Whatever had transpired.
So anybody who says that Peter didn't reach back to Father Mbaka, I say it's not true. That he did reach back to him. I said that text message.
The same day we vetted the text message and he sent it to Father Mbaka. I was shocked. Because these things are not my style.
Yeah.
Peter is his own. If it is me,
he won't send a text message.
What type of text message? I will dance with him naked in the public place. That is me. That is my own madness.
If you had done that, remember you were a knight.
Look,
are you a knight?
Look, let me tell you. Jesus Christ.